For the League of Legends World Championship? Do you believe you have genuinely talented representatives who will make your region proud? But do you also look around at the competition and get intense anxiety about your region's chances at Worlds? Well then, do we have the prescription for you? Introducing Hopium. It's an internationally investigated medication for making this Worlds a better experience for everyone. The way it works is simple. Hopium acts as a protective barrier that shields the love and hope you have for your region's teams, while also suppressing what some would call realistic concerns about their chances in the tournament.
Now, NA teams are better than ever, but I still worry sometimes that we're not going to win it all at Worlds this year. But now, thanks to Hopium, that thought never enters my mind anymore. We're guaranteed to win it all. Thanks, Hopium.
I started taking Hopium last year after Mad Lions lost in play-ins, and now they're the best team in the LEC. And G2 didn't even make Worlds.
As an LCK fan, I didn't used to think that Hopium was for me. But the play-in teams have gotten so incredibly good. DFM, Peace, Infinity, Unicorns. It was all getting to be a little bit too much. But now, with all new Jovium for LCK fans, I'll never forget that League of Legends is just a one-man game. Who needs teammates, right? Thanks, Hopium!
I started taking Hopium a couple of years ago, and now my region is the best in the world, and pretty much favourites at every international tournament we go to. Thanks, Hopium!
Off.
Side effects to Hopium may include sharing unnecessary views on Reddit, premature monologuing, podcasting, alienating rational thinkers, taking up rapping as a hobby, and thinking you should become a pro player. After all, what's the difference between Silver and Challenger? Ask your doctor if Hopium is right for you before trading Nuggery, flashing for Scuttlecrab, or after you've been placed in a group with Darm1 and FPX. Warning, if the effects last longer than 2 years, you may be from EU or NA. Do not take Hopium if you have friends from other competitive regions, as it may destroy your friendship forever. Hopium, from the makers of Copium.
It all leads to this.
Vitality will take them!
Une nouvelle ère approche.
Hello everyone and welcome to Worlds 2021 taking place in beautiful Reykjavik, Iceland. For the last 10 months, the world's top competitors have battled back and forth for a shot at representing their region, but their road to eternal glory is far from over, as we have arrived for the World's play-in stage. We're kicking things off with Hanwha Life Esports versus LNG Esports, and LCK versus LPL clash with Chovy and Tarzan in the main roles. Our players are arriving at the stadium in Iceland, and I am shocked, joined by the LCS's own Emily Rand and LCK's chronicler for what has been a day we have been waiting for so long. The build-up is over. It's finally here, Worlds 2021. Welcome, analysts, Emily, chronicler.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go. I'm so excited.
I can't wait. It's been so long since competitive league.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to have you both joining me today. And while Hanwha Life and LNG prepare for their very first face-off, we're also going to take a look at our groups for play-ins. Of course, Group A features a pack of underdogs and 2 top dogs. I think that's the best way to put it in Hanwha Life and LNG. But who could be the upset here? Who could be the underdog to make the run?
So, you know, I've watched CBLOL for a really long time. I'm going to call out Red Canids here just because I think their story to get here is so interesting. They were a 6th seed going into their like kind of miraculous playoff run. They ended up substituting in this mid laner Grepstar, who kind of helped carry them through. This team was it was just so fun to watch them win. Like they were a very unexpected seed to be here. And I do think, like you said, we have the top 2 in this group, and then we do have the other like pack of 3. I think these teams are very evenly matched actually with different strengths and weaknesses, but I am looking at Red to maybe kind of come out of that pack of 3.
Yeah, carrying the hopes of the CBLOL on their shoulders, of course. Let's take a look at Group B as well. We have a lot of very familiar names there. And Detonation Focus Me is in a group with Cloud9, which is a little spicy, Chronicler. But what do you think of the now super team in DFM at this World Championship?
Well, there didn't need to be a super team to beat Cloud9 at MSI, which was, of course, a really big win for the region. And I think the expectations on DFM this year are higher than they've ever been. This is, in every single role, basically the best player that they can possibly send. Unlike MSI, where they were playing with their coach in the support role, Kazu, now we have Gang, who is there and has been an incredible boon for the team. If you consider how good this team already was and the individual talent that is there, especially the solo laners, Arya and Abby, then taking into account that now they have an even stronger support in a meta where support is so incredibly important should make a lot of the other teams in that group really worried. And I think that unlike in Group A, where we have LNG and Hanwha who are expected to be ahead of the curve, Group B to me seems wide open.
I'm really glad also you called out the meta, because before we see any of these teams take to the Rift, we do need to touch on the updates. We will be playing on patch 11.19 this World Championship. That means we've got quite a number of changes coming in to Worlds. Chronicler, what is the TLDR of what we can expect?
If you've been watching any Tracking the Pros, you already know, but it's Ghost Blade junglers that have risen incredibly. It's a combination of the ability haste that was added to Ghost Blade and a more convenient build path in combination with the clear buffs that Zed, Talon and Kiana got. So all 3 of those junglers have been wreaking absolute havoc in solo queue. And with the clear speed that they have, the expectation is that they'll have a similar impact in competitive. And then, of course, there is also a Mumu. Because he's very prevalent at the moment.
Is it about the combination then that those Ghost Blade junglers are very viable? So it seems to me that Amumu is kind of like a no-brainer setup for those, Emily.
Yeah, I mean, I think you look at his kit, again, like Chronicler said, if you've been watching Tracking the Pros, Amumu has risen as this kind of like A-tier support pick. So I am really curious because every single play-ins we see some of these picks come out. And then, you know, the Tryndamere we have to mention just because not only in the strong in the top lane, but some people are playing him mid. So, you know, you love a flex. I don't think every mid laner will play it. We might not even see it outside of maybe a few. I'm looking at Doinby, might pull it out because he would love to play some Tryndamere mid, I feel. But yeah, like these are the 2, I think, when we started looking at solo queue, the 2 really kind of out there picks compared to what we've seen from the meta going through the entire year.
How about the quadruple flex possibilities of Jarvan the Fourth?
So this is something I was personally looking at because I love when you can just have an insane flex pick that you can flex across all roles. I do think some of it is a little overblown. I think we'll primarily see him in the jungle. But if you do have a team that with players that have kind of similar champion pools or able to swap that between roles, it could make some drafts really, really interesting. So I am very curious to see if we will see it being flexed as much as we have seen it from, you know, again, some of those Tracking the Pro solo queue streams.
Yeah, and you know, junglers who've been here for a while, they all love Jarvan.
They do.
So this is very much a comfort pick. We'll of course see how the meta evolves today. We're starting with the playing stage, and we have 8 whole matches of international action. I don't think we've ever had that many on a day, Chronicler, but if you look at the schedule, there's something there for everybody today.
And that's the beauty of play-ins. As someone who used to be from a region that, you know, didn't always show up as much as I'd like them to, it's still incredible to have the opportunity to kind of support your teams. Obviously, you have the Hanwha Live versus LNGs, but games like Detonation Focus Me versus Cloud9 are incredibly important, and something like Unicorns of Loss against Galatasaray has such a big impact, especially because we are playing single round robin.
Absolutely, and the back half of the day is going to give us a lot more insights into what is probably going to be a closely contested group. Now, our first game of Worlds 2021 puts 2 former teammates against each other in our featured matchup, presented by Mercedes-Benz, Toby versus Tarzan.
Toby and Tarzan, 2 players and former teammates from one of the most promising young rosters we have seen in recent years. They rose from Korean solo queue to world superstars in 2019 with Griffin. Together, Toby and Tarzan were unstoppable, but today they face each other in the opening game of Worlds 2021 as enemies and key players for their teams. Toby led Hanwha Life Esports through an incredible comeback in their regional gauntlet and was one of the most dominant laners in the LCK this year. But tonight, he faces his old brother-in-arms who has learned some new tricks after going to the LPL. The legacy of Griffin continues as we kick off Worlds 2021 with a clash between these former teammates.
What a matchup to start Worlds off with, Toby versus Tarzan. I think we're all pretty familiar with both of them, but Chronicler, seeing that they both hail originally from the LCK, what can you tell me about what these two players mean to their respective teams?
Well, the beauty of them is, and I think in case of Chovy, it's a bit more prevalent, but how essential they are to the team performing. And I'd like to go in specifically for Hanwha Life, because their journey this year has been very, very rough, and even Chovy himself in the middle of summer didn't have the greatest of performances. But if there was something that kept this team even moderately afloat, it was always him. And we saw Deft and Vista come up later, but Chovy is Hanwha Life Esports. When he carries, when he's able to spread his influence on the rest of the map, there are very little mid laners that can stop him.
And Emily, how much is Tarzan the central element of LNG on the other side?
Very central element. I think you do see them working together a little bit more as a team than what I'd characterize Hanwha Life as, but he is the one that they build their compositions around a lot of the time. He is the one that ends up making the plays, or he's really relying on his laners to make sure that he can farm up and then actually become an incredible carry for this team as well. So I think he is just a massive focal point for LNG.
Oh, absolutely. If we zoom out a little bit to both of the stories of the two teams, Chovy is a veteran on the international stage, but Hanwha Life, this is the first time that they are at Worlds under this name, of course, previously Rocks. And Chronicler, I think it's safe to say that they are an unexpected 4th seed coming out of the LCK. What can we expect?
Well, there was one man who believed, that was Atlas, and he was rewarded for his faith in the end. But it was a tumultuous journey. Hanwha Life was 8th in the LCK in the summer split, and they had a really good spring, which was the only reason why they even got to the gauntlet in the first place. But the expectations for this team, at least from me and from a lot of people, was very low. We didn't see any of the trademark, Chovy flashiness. And then came the gauntlet, and they just stomped everyone and almost beat T1, which I'm still not sure how that happened. I mean, it's Chovy, but yeah, it's still insane.
And for as far as I've seen, it was also a bit of depth and a bit more focus on the bot lane in that regional gauntlet. I wonder what we're going to see today. Now, for LNG, it's similar. I think for LPL fans, it was not that expected that they made it. Knocking out like top dogs like Top Esports and FPX, or beating them as well, it's crazy.
Yeah, I remember watching their initial series against Suning, and I was like, this team is not making it to Worlds, and I was dead wrong. I think the big thing about LNG is a harbinger of their playoffs and regional gauntlet performance was how they actually attacked the beginning of the regular season, because they did have a really good record. They figured out Diana jungler ahead of a lot of other LPL teams, again, around Tarzan. So I think this is a team that will go in with a very clear, defined idea of what they want to do in draft. Even if I personally disagree with it, or sometimes their pick order, like we saw them bring out the Vayne into Ziggs, right? We saw them play a lot around Zac as a pocket pick for Tarzan. So I do think they will take a look at this meta and try to figure out how they specifically want to play, and we'll see how it works.
It looks like when they're comfortable, their communication and synergy is on point, but sometimes it takes them a while to figure it out.
Yeah. Or they just pick something and it's just not the correct thing.
It's not the thing. So 1 minute to go until we kick it off to Iceland. Emily, I'm going to let you go first. LNG or Hanwha Life for this first game?
So I'm leaning towards LNG, and the reason is actually for what I said. I think they're a little bit more of a unified team than Hanwha Life, and I'm also, not so coincidentally, looking at the top lane, which we did not mention for Hanwha Life, but I think it is a point where LNG can attack. This is a very close match, though. Either of these teams could win.
Oh, it is so close, Chronicler. Are you going to go for Hanwha Life, despite the top lane? I'm not going to say issues. We'll see.
Of course, Sam. We're not going to pay attention to top lane. Top lane, who cares, right? It's just one man fighting another man. It's fine. We don't care about that. I think that if Hanwha Life can keep up the form that is shown in Gauntlet, if Devs and Vista can have as much pressure, and Chovy can play to his peak, there are very little teams that are able to stop them. And I think LNG is an incredible team.
They worked better together, but individually, Hanwha Life got this.
Well, we'll see. We can't forget that these are the 4th seed from their regions. The eyes of the entire LCK and LPL are on them to carry the pride of the region. And now the stage is set. It is now or never, make or break for Hanwha Life and LNG as we dive into our first match of Worlds 2021.